Hello and welcome back, as always, to another edition of Bamster's News. This is the weekend roundup. It is Monday, September 2nd, and I'm your host, Draconis. Today we have a variety of things to talk about, but before we jump right in, as always, a like and share are much appreciated. They do help the channel out, and any comments that you have or you want to leave us, we're happy to respond to those. So thank you very much for tuning in, and without further ado, might you soon be able to load Windows 10 from the internet? Engadget released an article over the weekend stating that you would actually be able to, through use of the cloud, download and reinstall Windows, get a fresh load of Windows, and it would all be cloud-based. Now, currently, the software is in pre-release, so it's not something I would recommend trying right away. I would wait until they iron out any bugs, and then get a fully fleshed out version of it. However, if you're just looking to test it and see how it works, or you have a machine that you want to see how it all runs on, it could be worth checking out. The beta for Ghost Recon Breakpoint starts next week. So this is not an open beta, but it will be available to those that have pre-ordered on PC, PS4, or Xbox One, or if you have Uplay Plus. There may be an open beta later, but that's not been announced yet. And depending on how much traffic they see, it is possible that they may open it up to some folks who signed up when they first announced the beta that was going to happen. It begins at 3 a.m. Pacific or 11 a.m. British Standard Time on Thursday, September 5th, and will last until the same time on September 9th. You will be able to preload for this, though there is no current word on the actual size of what the preload is going to be, but that will take place on Monday the 2nd. And I guess if you're going to jump into that, good luck and have fun. The game itself is slated to release on the 4th of October in this year. So if you miss out on the beta, well, that's okay. You don't have too long to wait. Speaking of things people have been waiting for, Planetside Arena. It's been delayed a few times already. Originally it was supposed to release in January of this year. It got pushed back to March, then sometime in summertime, and now they're saying it'll come out September 19th on early access in Steam. When it launches, it will feature only 2 modes. Each will support 300 player matches, squads mode, which only supports 12 players per squad, and teams mode will have a limit of 3 players per team. Character classes like Assault, Engineer, and Medic will be available at launch alongside an assortment of vehicles. One thing that sounds like it will be missing is the massive 500 player quote-unquote massive clash game mode. That's not going to be there at launch. And they did also publish a content roadmap for things that are to come later down the road. Now, the game itself is available anywhere from like $20 to $50. So if it's just something you've been looking for, you spice up that Battle Royale genre, sounds like you won't have too much longer to wait unless they push it back again. Something else that recently got pushed back from September to October, Destiny 2. If you play on PC, or if you want to play on PC, they've enabled things on their site for you to go in, log into your account, and prep for your move for your account from the Battle.net system to Steam. There is a video you can watch, there's an FAQ, there's plenty of information, and I've already done the move, so it really wasn't all that difficult. You did have to link your Steam account, again, no big deal, but you just go in there and take care of things, follow it through step by step, and you will be ready to go when it launches on the 1st of October. Dying Light 2 released a 26-minute gameplay demo. Watched through this the other day, and I gotta say I'm really liking the way the game looks. I was a big fan of the first Dying Light game and have been waiting for them to release a new game. So, this is definitely something that was right up my alley. Now, the combat looks good. The parkour movement looks really good and fluid, and apparently one of the things that they said in this gameplay demo is that they've doubled the number of options for the parkour movement. So, if you really enjoyed getting a chance to run around, jump up on things, climb over things, all the things that you got to do movement-wise in Dying Light, they've now doubled that. And there was something, I haven't played the first Dying Light in quite a while, but there was something that I don't remember. It looks like they've got, some kind of like parachute thing that you can kind of jump off a building and deploy. I don't remember that being in the first one. They have a grapple hook, which I do kind of remember that being in the first one. So, again, we'll see some similar things that we're used to. They've added things to the game. And one of the really interesting things from that video was getting a chance to see just how your choices can affect the playable space within this game world. The video ends with a choice you've made, which basically diverts some water and provides drinking water to a community. And in doing so, it lowers the level of the water in this other area that had been previously flooded. And once you do that, now it's letting out, more zombies and whatnot that were previously, I guess, shall we say, asleep or not active underneath the water. So, but it also, the other cool thing about that is it gives you a new area to play through, that if you had made a different decision and didn't reroute that water and bring that water level down, then you wouldn't have been able to play in that area at all. So that's kind of cool, because it in some ways, it's, once you played through the story of the game in the first one, there wasn't a lot of reason to go back and play, except for the fact that just the gameplay itself was fun. But this is giving story reasons to go back in and play again, which is pretty neat. Were you preparing to pre-order Cyberpunk 2077, or have you already pre-ordered Cyberpunk 77? If you do so before the 13th of September, and you have any interest in the metal posters that's sold on Displate, you can get yourself a code for a 40% discount, which is a nice significant discount on those things. I have several of those hanging up in my office. I've been eyeing a few more, especially with the additions to the store that CD Projekt Red has put on there directly from the Cyberpunk game itself. I gotta say, man, I love these metal posters. Just the quality of them, how easy it is to mount them on the wall. I don't know. I can't say enough good things about them. But, if you haven't seen them before, if this is something you're not familiar with, check out display.com. There'll probably also be a link to the pre-order bonus if you are looking to pre-order Cyberpunk 2077. And why wouldn't you be? Also, they released the 14-minute deep dive video footage this week, which has been a little bit controversial. Some folks are a little upset that it was a curated and chopped up. Basically, we're not getting the full version that press has seen. They cut a lot of content out because they're trying to avoid spoilers and whatnot. I've seen also a few other complaints that the graphics didn't look as good as in previous releases. I would say, keep in mind, I wouldn't be shocked if the footage we're seeing was something that they were playing on console, probably without any of the RTX stuff. None of the optimization. Well, I don't know if yeah, at this point it's too early for them to have gone through a lot of the optimization to get things down. So I don't see this as reason for concern. I know, we got a little ways to go before April, so there's still development being done, and we'll all see the game when it comes out in April. Some info out of PAX West, it looks like, is some new exclusives coming to the Epic Game Store, and these will be timed exclusives that should show up on Steam most likely after the time period has expired. And those are Watum, which is a game about the joys of friendship. And this looks like it's a game about collecting these, it says more than 100 wacky and carefree characters. There's some really strange imagery in here that's maybe kind of fun for folks to take a look at. It says they're billing it as a game that's fun for everyone. You can play solo or co-op on the same screen, and I guess it's just looks like a little collection and making friends type game, solving puzzles and uncovering secrets, and apparently there are some mini games as well. The Alto Collection, which is a endless snowboarder adventure, and its endless sandboarding sequel will be released for the first time together on PC. No Straight Roads is an action game which players fight the massive EDM empire as an indie rock band. Airborne Kingdom, which looks to blend a city management sim as well as some exploration. So you build your flying fortress, floating around and looking for resources. Manifold Garden, which will allow for a player to manipulate gravity to change their perspective as they explore what is being called MC Escher-esque architecture. And another in the vein of MC Escher type game, Superliminal, which is a first-person puzzler. In some ways, kind of being compared a little bit to Portal, but it looks like this. Based on your perspective, one point in the trailer you see them pick up like a little alarm clock and they hold it up above their head, but then as it falls down it just becomes massive. So as your perspective changes, going through things, moving things around, looks like that's how you'll be using objects in the game to solve puzzles. The Eternal Cylinder, which is an open world survival game on an alien planet with your birth as a creature. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Q*bert, if you can remember that far back to some of the old arcade games of Q*bert jumping around with that little trunk he's got in front of him, and you use this trunk to suck up material from other creatures on the planet, and you can then mutate yourself. Now, some of those mutations will be used, it looks like, for puzzle solving. Some might be to maybe give you different ways to combat creatures in the world, and they said there's like 50 plus unique mutations that you can find by exploring the world. They are going to be having a private beta you can sign up for on their website, and the game is currently expected to release sometime in 2020. Based on the trailer itself that they have, it kind of seems to hint that there will be some kind of multiplayer, but I didn't see anything that directly stated whether or not there would be multiplayer in the game. It just kind of, I don't know, gave that impression that either there might be multiplayer or that you might have several of these creatures that you can mutate in different ways and then put them into some kind of group or something. That I'm not entirely clear on, so do not quote me on that as being gospel. And then lastly, Ooblets, which had been previously announced on the Epic Game Store as a farming and creature collection sim. These were the devs that had made kind of a big splash on the scene because of how they tried to address going Epic exclusive. And without jumping into that topic too much, I completely understand why, especially an indie developer would choose to do so. But I think it was a little bit of a PR nightmare for him. Now, speaking of the Epic Games Store, they have also revamped their Trello roadmap and are promising to continue to update that every 2 weeks. So if you're looking to see what features should be coming to the Epic Game Store and when those things should be coming, as well as if you want to check back every so often for updates, if there's a particular feature you're looking for that maybe you're holding out on before you make use of the store, then you'll be able to do that through their roadmap. The first World of Warcraft player to hit level 60 in World of Warcraft Classic did it in just under 4 days, and that's Jokered TV. Apparently he was grinding through this thing pretty much almost non-stop, which, mad respect, dude. That's a lot of time to play getting in there. But of course, if you want to be world's first, so to speak, that's the kind of thing you're going to have to do. WoW Classic has made some news recently, not just because of, the fact that there was just way more people interested in playing this than previously anticipated, or I should say mostly because of that. That's why they've been making news. There have been folks who've been waiting in hours-long queues. I've heard upwards of 8 hours sometimes just to get into the game. Most frustrating part about that is once you get in, if you get disconnected and it takes you longer than, I think it was something like 2 minutes, which is their grace period, to get back into the game again, you're stuck back in the queue. And Blizzard says that they're rolling out hotfixes to substantially increase the player capacity. So there was a lot more attention, a lot more folks logging into this game than they anticipated. And, they've even said themselves that they expect that this massive interest in this WoW Classic version will probably drop off at some point. But at least for now, they're still trying to make changes to let folks, get in there without having to wait too long, which is cool. And since we're talking about an old game, I thought I would jump to another one that is due out. Well, I wish I could tell you when, but the PC release of the Master Chief Collection is still currently unknown at this point. Now, the schedule for that release is going to be, Halo Reach, Halo Combat Evolved, Halo 2, 3, Halo 3 ODST, and then Halo 4. And one announcement that Halo recently had, this would have been on the 28th, was that over 6.5 million user-generated maps in Halo 3 Halo Reach and Halo 4 have been successfully copied for future access in the Master Chief Collection. So they are going to be available on PC, which is some kind of cool news, especially if you're a fan of any of the old stuff that's been done on console and you're looking forward to playing that on PC. And that is the news roundup for Monday, September 2nd. Stick around, come back on Wednesday when we have our regular podcast episode. Just this past week, we did a live stream interview with the developers of House Party, and one of the things that we talked to them about is we're going to repurpose the audio from the live stream. So if you missed that, you'll get a chance to hear the interview on our regular podcast episode, which will be this Wednesday. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, I'm out of here.